Does your PC feel slow? A new SSD can breathe a new life into your old system. So let's look at what SSD you should buy for your PC. Now, broadly speaking, the SSDs are divided into two parts, SATA and Nvme Ssds, but they all have different form factors available. Let's start with SATA SSDs. Now, SATA SSDs are limited by the bandwidth of SATA bus, which is 6 gigabit per second, which equates to about 500 megabytes per second of read and write. And most good quality SSDs will achieve those speeds sequentially. They come in three form factors. The first one is SATA enclosure, which is similar to the laptop hard drive that you might have seen, or a portable hard drive size, something like a credit card. The second most common form factor is M.2. Now, you might confuse M.2 with the Nvme Ssds, but M.2 actually has a SATA bus interface as well, so it can communicate over SATA. Now, SATA M.2 SSDs do not work on NVMe ports and vice versa. It may be true for some laptops or desktops, but generally speaking, SATA M.2 SSDs are designed to work with SATA only motherboards, and NVMe won't work on it, but you might be able to use SATA SSD on NVMe slots. The third and the most rare form factor for SATA SSDs is Msata. If you have that slot, your laptop or desktop is probably fairly old, maybe 6 to 7 years, because it was around that area and instantly died because NVMe and U.2 showed up. So which of those three form factors you should buy? Well, they all run at 6 gigabit per second, so it all depends on what slots you have available or what slots you have to replace. Say, for example, if you have an old hard drive, plug it into a regular SATA port, then you can just replace with a normal regular SATA SSD. Let's talk about the Nvme SSDs, the fastest stuff on the market right now. Now, there are two types of Nvme SSDs in general. There are the Gen 3 SSDs, which use PCIe Gen 3 protocol, which means they're slightly slower than the PCIe Gen 4 SSDs, which were recently launched following the AMD Ryzen motherboard that supported that protocol. So unless you really have a latest system, do not go for the Gen 4 SSDs, because you do not get the advantages of Gen 4 if your PC does not have it. But then again, if you plan to upgrade fairly recently, you might want to go for Gen 4, because SSDs usually last longer than the systems you put them in, so you can always transplant it to your new system if you need to. Now that you know the broader classifications of SSDs, let's talk about compatibility. So if your PC was manufactured in the last 6-7 years, most likely it will support the NVMe protocol, which means that it's running Intel 7th gen CPU or AMD Ryzen 1st gen and above. So yeah, if you have a slightly older system, you might be able to get away with an M.2 SATA SSD, which is still pretty fast and commonly more cheaper option than the NVMe counterparts because of slight speed reduction. But it's great for stuff like game libraries. So you can buy 2 terabyte SATA for way less compared to an NVMe 2 terabyte. It's all the same to the game library. If you're running Windows, on the other hand, I highly recommend going for NVMe. Even if it's 500 gigabytes, go for a 500 gigabyte Windows boot drive, and then have a secondary gaming SSD, say 2 terabytes or 1 terabyte from a SATA manufacturer such as Samsung QO series. The second prominent company I believe is Crucial, because their prices are pretty low and the quality of their product is pretty good. Another general tip about SSDs is a larger SSD will last longer and will read and write faster than a smaller capacity SSD. So please skip the 120 SSD, just go for the 250, 500, 1 terabyte. Just skip the 120 because it's not worth the money you're paying to upgrade from 120 to 240. It's very tiny. Anyway guys, if this video helped you, drop a thumbs up. If you have a question relating to any SSD, drop it in the comments down below. There's also a Discord link in the description. Subscribe and ding the bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.